Hey, brave soul. The dentist's office isn't usually a place people want to go. It brings up nerves, memories, maybe even fear. But going to the dentist is also a quiet act of courage. It's a promise to care for your body, your health, your smile. So if you've ever been nervous in that waiting room, or stared up at the bright light with clenched hands, this story is for you. Let's walk into it gently, together. Going to the dentist. It sounds simple. But behind that simple sentence are real feelings: anxiety, embarrassment, discomfort, and sometimes relief. In this story, we'll follow someone who faces that visit with all the emotions that come with it. From the fear of the unknown, to the relief of being taken care of, to the deep understanding that taking care of ourselves, even when it's hard, is an act of love. Episode 1: The Toothache That Changed Everything. It started on a Tuesday morning. At first it was small, a dull ache behind my back tooth. I thought it was nothing, just one of those random things that would go away on its own. I was wrong. By the end of the day, the pain had grown. It throbbed every time I chewed, every time I drank water, especially cold water. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't want anyone to know. Not my mom, not my friends, not even myself. Because if I said it out loud, it meant I had to go to the dentist. And I hated the dentist. The smells, the sounds, the feeling of being stuck in a chair, mouth wide open, while someone poked around inside. It made me anxious, helpless. So I told myself, it'll go away. But it didn't. The next day, the pain was sharper. I tried to eat lunch, but even soft bread hurt. I winced, pushed my food away, and rubbed my jaw. Layla noticed. "Are you okay?" she asked. I nodded quickly. "Just tired." But she saw through me. "You're touching your jaw. You have a toothache, don't you?" I sighed. "Maybe." She raised her eyebrows. "You need to go to the dentist." I shook my head. "I'll be fine." She leaned closer. "Lying to your friends is one thing, but lying to yourself? That's dangerous?" I didn't answer, because I knew she was right. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, holding my cheek. The pain was worse. Deeper. Like something inside was pulsing, asking to be heard. I stood up, walked into the kitchen, and said softly, "Mom?" She looked up from her book. "I need to see a dentist." She didn't ask why. She just nodded and said, "I'll call in the morning." And just like that, it was real. The next day was a blur. My mom got an appointment for 3 p.m. I went to school, but I couldn't concentrate. Every tick of the clock felt louder than usual. Every step closer to the afternoon felt like a countdown. At lunch, I couldn't eat. Layla offered me a piece of her chocolate bar. I smiled, but shook my head. Even sweet things hurt now. At 2:30, we left school early. My mom and I walked quietly to the clinic. I held my backpack in my lap and stared at the floor. The dentist's office was cold and bright. The smell of antiseptic hit me as soon as we walked in. It brought back memories of past visits, of white coats, of loud machines. The receptionist looked up and smiled. "Hello? Name?" My mom answered. They asked us to wait. I sat down and tried to breathe slowly. There was a poster on the wall about brushing your teeth. Another one showed scary pictures of gum disease. I looked away. A child walked out of one of the rooms holding a small toy. He looked okay. Not crying. Not scared. I took that as a good sign. Then I heard it. "Lena, you can come in now." My stomach turned. I stood slowly, my legs heavy. The room was white and clean. There was a chair in the middle, tall, like a throne. A tray with silver tools. A light above. The dentist smiled gently. "Hi there, I'm Dr. Khalil. What's been bothering you?" I sat down and told him everything. The pain, the cold water, the fear. He nodded. "Let's take a look, okay?" I nodded back, heart pounding. He asked me to open my mouth. He used a tiny mirror to look around. A cold spray of air made me flinch. "Looks like you have a cavity," he said. "It's pretty deep. That's why it hurts so much." I swallowed hard. "What does that mean?" "It means we need to clean it out and fill it," he said calmly. "It won't take long, and you won't feel much. But we need to do it today." "Today?" I asked, almost whispering. He nodded. "The longer you wait, the worse it'll get." I looked at my mom. She gave me a soft smile. "You've got this," she whispered. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "Okay, let's do it." He put a small mask near my nose, told me to breathe in. And soon, everything felt a little lighter. The procedure wasn't as bad as I'd imagined. Yes, the sounds were weird. Yes, the tools looked scary. But the pain, gone. When he finished, he sat beside me and said, "You did really well. I'm proud of you." I almost cried. Because I was proud of me too. On the way home, the sky was turning gold. The pain was gone. My jaw was sore, but it was a different kind of sore. A healing one. I looked at my mom and smiled. "Thank you for taking me." She squeezed my hand. "Thank you for being brave." And I knew. Bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just opening your mouth when you're scared. Asking for help. Letting someone take care of you. Episode 2. Learning to Trust Again. The next morning, I woke up and stretched slowly. I was expecting the familiar ache in my jaw, but it wasn't there. Just a soft pressure. A quiet reminder that something had happened. That something inside me had been repaired. I lay there in bed, watching the early sunlight draw soft lines across the ceiling. My room was quiet. But inside my mind, the dentist's words still echoed. "You did really well. I'm proud of you." No one had said that to me in a long time, and somehow it meant more than I expected. At breakfast, I could chew again. The toast didn't feel like knives against my teeth anymore. Even cold juice wasn't scary. I smiled when my mom looked at me. "You seem lighter today," she said. "I am," I replied and meant it. School was different that day. Everything felt a little brighter, even though nothing had changed. Layla ran up to me in the hallway. "Well, you survived?" "Barely," I joked. "But yes." She grinned. "Proud of you. told you it wouldn't be that bad." "I know," I said, "but I had to feel it for myself." We walked together toward class. For the first time in days, I didn't feel the need to hold my jaw or hide my smile. At lunch, I ate slowly, carefully, but with joy. Even the simple act of chewing felt like a victory. And for the first time in a while, I paid attention to my teeth. How strong they were, how silently they did their work, how much I had taken them for granted. In biology class, the teacher was talking about the human body. How each part had its own job, how everything worked together. Quietly, perfectly, until something went wrong. And suddenly I felt this wave of gratitude. Gratitude for my body, for its messages, for the way it whispered through pain. "Take care of me." That evening, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror with my toothbrush in hand. I stared at my reflection for a long time. Then I smiled. Not a forced smile, not a nervous one. A real one. One that said, "I trust you again." From that day on, I changed my habits. I brushed my teeth more carefully. I stopped rushing through it. I started flossing. Yes, really. I even bought a small timer to make sure I brushed for the full 2 minutes. My mom noticed. "You're taking this seriously now," she said. I nodded. It's weird. I used to think brushing was boring, but now it feels like self-respect. And it was. 2 weeks later, I had a follow-up appointment. Just a checkup. I wasn't scared this time. I was still nervous, yes, but it was the good kind of nervous, the kind that comes before doing something important. When I walked into the clinic again, I saw the same receptionist, the same white walls, the same posters, but this time, they didn't make me feel small. This time, I felt ready. Dr. Khalil welcomed me with the same kind smile. "How's the tooth?" he asked. "Better," I said. "Much better." He checked my teeth again. No pain, no problem, just clean, healing, strong. "You're doing a great job," he said. "Keep it up." I left the clinic with a little bag of floss, a new toothbrush, and something much more valuable: confidence. On the way home, I passed by a little girl crying in her mother's arms, clearly nervous about her appointment. I stopped for a second. I knelt down and smiled at her. "It's okay to be scared," I said gently. "But you'll feel so much better after. I promise." She looked at me with big eyes. And for a moment, I saw my past self in her face. Then she nodded. Just a tiny nod, but enough. That evening, I wrote in my notebook, "Healing doesn't always look like medicine or bandages. Sometimes healing looks like smiling in the mirror without fear, like brushing your teeth with love, like walking into a place you were once afraid of, and feeling safe." I closed the notebook, turned off the light, and whispered to the dark, "I'm learning to trust my body again." And it's learning to trust me too. Episode 3, Beyond the Chair, Carrying the Courage. It had been 3 weeks since the appointment. The pain was gone. The fear mostly faded, and the memory of that cold clinic chair. Now it felt like something from another life. But something stayed with me. Something new. It wasn't just about the tooth anymore. It was about how I saw myself. One afternoon after school, I was helping my little cousin Mira with her homework. She was 7, full of energy, and had just lost her first baby tooth. She kept touching the gap with her tongue. "It feels weird," she said, "like something's missing." I smiled. "Well, something is missing." She looked up at me with big eyes. "Do grown-up teeth hurt when they come in?" I paused. "They might, a little, but it doesn't last long." She looked worried. "Do I have to go to the dentist?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah, but you know what? Dentists aren't the enemy." "They have scary tools," she whispered. I laughed softly. "They do have tools, but they're not there to hurt you. They're there to help you." She looked at me like I was a magician. "You went to the dentist and survived?" "I more than survived," I said. "I came out stronger." And that's when it hit me. The dentist didn't just fix my tooth. He helped me rebuild something inside. Trust. Trust in people. Trust in care. And most importantly, trust in myself. Later that week in English class, we had to write a personal story. I decided to write about my toothache. At first, I thought it sounded silly. So small. So ordinary. But the more I wrote, the more I realized. It wasn't just about the pain. It was about how I handled the pain. How I faced something scary and came out okay. I wrote, "Sometimes bravery doesn't look like standing on a stage or saving someone. Sometimes bravery is sitting in a dentist's chair, heart racing, eyes closed, trusting a stranger with something that hurts." When I finished reading it aloud in class, the room was quiet. Then Layla clapped. Then everyone else did too. Even the teacher looked moved. After class, she pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Not just for writing honestly, but for learning something deeper." That night, I stood in the bathroom again, brushing my teeth. But this time, I didn't rush. I didn't just clean my teeth. I cared for them. Gently, intentionally, like they were a part of me I finally understood. Then I looked in the mirror and said softly, "You're doing great." And I meant it. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just existing. I was showing up for myself. I started to notice other things too. Like how I washed my hands, how I ate slower, how I listened to my body when it was tired, when it was tense, when it needed a break. I realized going to the dentist had taught me something bigger. Self-care isn't selfish. Self-care is power. We live in a world that tells us to keep going, to tough it out, to ignore small pains until they become big problems. But healing isn't weakness. Asking for help isn't shameful. Sitting in that dentist's chair was the first time I really let myself be taken care of. And it changed me. The next time Mira had to visit the dentist, I went with her. She held my hand the whole time. She squeezed hard when they checked her teeth. But she didn't cry. When it was over, she looked at me and whispered, "I did it." I smiled big and said, "You're so brave." She tilted her head and replied, "Just like you." And that was enough. That night, I wrote in my notebook, "You don't always get to choose your pain, but you do get to choose what you do with it. You can run from it, or you can walk into it. One breath at a time, one step at a time, and come out the other side. Softer, wiser, and more yourself than ever." I closed the notebook, turned off the light, and smiled. This time, the smile wasn't about the tooth. It was about who I had become. Hey, you. Yes, you. The one who once felt afraid to sit in that big cold chair. The one who maybe clenched their fists when the light turned on. Or held back tears when the drill buzzed. You're not alone. We've all been there. Frightened, embarrassed, tense. But guess what? You showed up. You said yes to care. You said no to pain. And you chose something really powerful. Healing. Going to the dentist is about so much more than teeth. It's about trust. It's about courage. It's about learning that even the scariest things can become softer, gentler, when we face them. So the next time you brush your teeth, don't just count seconds. Don't just scrub. Say thank you to your teeth, to your body, to yourself, because you're learning, because you're growing, and because deep down you are strong, even when you feel small. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for walking through the fear and out the other side. I'm so proud of you. Until our next journey, take care of your smile, take care of your heart, and remember, you're always braver than you think.